Welcome back. Let's quickly take a look at the Daily Trust newspaper, where it says the major story is about no NAS approval for presidential jet. Now, this has been a controversy, and we're going to dive into it. You'll find that story on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper, and inside there you see more stories on Israel strikes and kill 25 in Gaza as death toll surpasses 40,000. Now, these are some of the stories that you find on the Daily Trust newspaper. Moving on to The Nation, where the major story is about petrol scarcity brings back queues to Lagos, Abuja, and other cities. NNPCL blames it all on distribution hitches. Marketers raise prices to between 950 naira and 1,000 naira per litre. Below there, you see the pictorial of what is happening in the major cities in the country. The NNPCL Limited regrets the tightness in fuel supply witnessed in some parts of Lagos and the FCT, which is as a result of distribution challenges. Below there, we see oil and gas operators are cutting away the profits, leaving Nigerians with pains. Tinubu off to France today. Shetima challenges agencies on budget of 2025. Above that major story there, we see Tinubu improving security. Don't prioritize it. Omokri tells Peter Obi. We see experts project over subscription of the federal government $500 million dollar bond offer. At the top of the page, we see lobbying for IG Egbetokun seat hot up. Uncertainty in police. Why food prices are dropping by farmers and traders. Utomi and Mosun clash over ex-governor's policies. Aidatiwa pledges more bites for Amotekun core. These are the stories that you see on the Nation. Quickly, let's take a look at the Punch. Food crisis may worsen as flood hits 10 states. Farmers groan as floods ravage farmlands in Sokoto, Kano, Kebbi, 7 others. SEMA seeks government help as drought dry up crops in 4 states, 31 states risks flooding. Below there's a pictorial of how much food has become so scarce for an average Nigerian, and officials of the NEMA are giving emergency distribution relief materials to flood victims in Damaturu, Yobe State. Below the pictorial, we see police detective hunt 20 varsity students abductors. Vietnam-bound businessman excretes 88 cocaine wraps. Incredible. Civil servant screening on IPPIS portal ends Friday. That's according to federal government. Above there, we see NNPC battles deepening fuel scarcity, black market. Presidential debt, Abiodun consults the federal government as Utomi tackles Amosun, and federal government eyes 2 billion naira or dollars from local dollar bond sale. Fake degrees, the federal government orders varsity to submit matriculation list. Now, quickly, let's dive into these stories. We have our reviewer, Suleiman Ubagaya, CEO Sky Limit Media Group and former deputy president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Good morning, and thank you for joining us as usual.
Thank you so much.
Now, we missed you last week. I just have to put it out there.
Yeah, really. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it here because of fuel challenges.
And it has been biting harder. Now let's even, before we dive into the fuel situation, let's talk about the NAS approval of new presidential jet. We saw how some jets already were seized by Chinese companies, and now the National Assembly are saying there has been no approval for new presidential jet. What is your take on all of that?
Okay, let me first of all comment on the fact that today's editions of the various newspapers must have presented some challenge to the respective editors, because I have seen different headlines.
Indeed.
You know, normally when you see almost similar headlines, it's like an aircraft pilot, putting it on autopilot. That things becoming so easy for the editors. This must have taxed the abilities of the editors to come up with different stories. Back to the very massive story we have today in Daily Trust, known as approval for new presidential jet. You see, we have continued to define the way and manner we are embracing ourselves as a nation. There is no basis at all for this kind of controversy. Of course, some of the presidential aides are saying that the aircraft was purchased from the service-wide fund. which does not require legislation or approval of the National Assembly. But even if it was purchased from the service-wide board, why don't they simply come out and make an official statement? Because right now, things are at the level of conjecture. Everybody is just guessing, and we in the press will easily be blamed by the time, you know, we cast our headline. They will now say, okay, why did you do it this way? And if you look at the story, you know, all the people that should be contacted have been contacted by Daily Trust. All of them have either refused to reply, or even their phones have been switched off purposely because they don't want to respond to this particular issue. And for me, honestly, it bespeaks of irresponsibility at its highest, with all due respect. You know, the second aspect, and on a lighter note, is that this same aircraft, I mean the main aircraft, the Airbus A330, that was said to be purchased by President Tinubu. In fact, it has been confirmed by a presidential aide that indeed that aircraft was purchased for the president. Yeah. But the argument now is whether it was approved by the National Assembly or it was purchased using the service-wide board. But you see, the issue now that I said on a lighter note is that the aircraft itself was seized by a German bank. You know, it belongs to an Arabian prince who took a loan of hundreds of millions of dollars and refused to pay. So they impounded the plane, you know, and offered it for sale. And Nigeria negotiated it at, from all this is at the level of rumor because there has not been confirmation from the presidency. But from what we hear, Nigeria tried to negotiate it at around $100 million or so. You know, but we are still waiting for an official statement.
The fact that we're still waiting for official statement does not even speak well of the country.
It doesn't speak well.
These are when Nigerians show concern for you know, an administration that has promised transparency. You clear out this, but then there seem to be a lot of things that are not really addressed.
Exactly.
But let's move on from that. Let's talk about the fuel scarcity in the country. The NNPCL are at it again, blaming you know, distribution company. Distribution company, of course, are saying, oh, we did not really get the supply. Marketers are making their comments. At the end of the day, the poor masses are facing the brunt of all of this. What is your take?
You see, that is the more reason why I'm not going to, you know, speak for anybody or any marketer. But that is the more reason why we as a nation need to support the Dangote refinery, honestly speaking. By the time we fully support him, give him all the crude supply that he needs, I'm sure that refinery has the capacity to supply enough fuel for, especially PMS, for the use of Nigerians. Unfortunately, we keep dilly-dallying. There have been clear, deliberate efforts to kill that refinery, and we are relying still heavily on import, especially from Malta, you know. And when you have this kind of hitches, we that are not in the industry can only hazard a guess as to what is really happening. But the overall issue is that it also bespeaks of irresponsibility at its highest, because whatever it is, NNPC as a regulator should be in a position to tell us what is really happening. We hear that the marketers are the ones holding the product, probably because they want to force the hands of government to increase fuel price to maybe 1,000 naira per liter or even more, you know. But whatever it is, this thing has serious implication on not just the people directly, but the security of the nation, because prostration is building up more and more. You see, workers are finding it difficult to access their places of work because of cost of transportation that has skyrocketed. And if you have a car, car is becoming a
liability.
Honestly, probably for the rich, because even last week I couldn't make it to this program because I couldn't get fuel. You know, not that I didn't even have the money to buy. I had some little money to buy the fuel, but then there wasn't even the fuel because the queue was just too long, you know. So eventually I managed to get it, and I've been managing it ever since then.
It is really ridiculous how, you know, the situation is. And, you know, speaking on the Dangote, we're still waiting on the National Assembly committee that was put in place to solve this situation.
And it's affecting productivity very seriously.
Truly. And we hope we get to see more on that. As usual, media will keep dipping our heads into it until we get better solution. Now let's move on to another situation facing the country, which is food crisis, which has worsened as flood hits 10 states. Now, not only flood, we already know how insecurity has been gearing up, the food crisis in the country. What is your take on this situation as farmers are crying for concern?
You see, government honestly needs to do something as urgently as possible about the ongoing food crisis. We've been having food crisis for many, many months now. If you remember, until very recently, we had a 10-day protest by young Nigerians, especially, well, not just young Nigerians, but mostly the people who participated were young Nigerians, men and women. And between that time and now, that is between the 1st and 10th of this month, things have even worsened.
Indeed.
Government should, as far as I'm concerned, dig deeper, open its warehouses, share more foodstuff at affordable rates. And I'm happy. Well, the government somehow has taken a very serious measure by removing tariffs from certain foodstuffs, and the Nigerian Customs Service has started implementing it. So probably in the next few days or weeks, we'll see the prices of food crashing. But as it is, even the official the rate of inflation for food is more than 40%. But you and I know is well more than 40%. In some situations is 200, 300, or even 1,000%. So government really needs to do more. We appreciate what it has done by removing tariffs from certain foodstuffs, but then it needs to do a lot more, because food is one of the 3 basic necessities of life. You can't survive without it.
Indeed. So the spokesperson of the spokesman of presidential, wing is saying that they are working on it, but so far, we all know we've been pushing for presidents and the governors to do more. So far, there has not been any plan on governors. What is your take on how silent the governors have been?
That is a very interesting question, and I want to thank you for the question, honestly. Because you see, we've had stories of food. First of all, the federal government has allocated a certain number of trailers. I've forgotten 20 trailers per state. The stories we hear are to the effect that most of this rice, foodstuffs that have been taken to states, have been siphoned, or diverted by officials of state governments. In Kano, we have that situation. A very top official of the Kano state government is being accused of diverting foodstuff. It has been allegedly found in
your own warehouse in possession.
Exactly, and he is saying he was using it to feed people of his Islamia school.
Is that even an excuse?
Exactly. So we see, it's not just Kano State. Practically every state in Nigeria, you find one scandal or the other. And it speaks of heartlessness. The fact that food stuff meant for the poor of the poorest is now being diverted by the rich. They have to be very careful.
It available.
Who don't even have it. We just have to be very careful, honestly. Because you see, like I said, food is a basic necessity of life. Without it, you are pushing people to the wall. And when you push someone to the wall, he is bound to hit back, and anything can happen. So please, let them save us from spontaneous anger of these people that have been deprived. Let's not continue to take them for granted. The poor.
Indeed. It's a really sad situation, and I think honestly the governors are not really being held accountable to
they are not being held accountable.
So we have to keep pushing on this on what is going on in the country. But quickly, the president is going out. Nigerians are concerned about how frequent the president is going out with no possible result. What is your take on that?
You see, I was thinking of it as I was driving to the studio here. The fact that he is also specifically traveling to France. Why the travel to France all the time? I think we need to ask that question. There have been speculations, and I don't see why government should be leaving things to the realm of speculations.
Because there was no reason of that travel.
There's a part of the rumor is that the president is always going to France for a kind of health maintenance. For God's sake, why don't they open up? When President Biden had COVID-19 recently, the White House opened up and said it. They hide nothing. Open up the medical record. We are all mortal beings. We are going to die one day. What is there if your president is sick? We can pray for him. It happened to President Buhari when he stayed in London for many weeks. Nigerians prayed for him, and
President Yar'Adua as well.
Exactly, President Yar'Adua as well. So let them learn to open up. There is no basis whatsoever for them to continue to hide information about the health status of our president. He's our president because we are entitled to know what he is, how he is, and where he is.
Of course. Of course. What about other countries that he has visited with the hope of perhaps alliance or investment?
You see, that shuttle diplomacy that he's engaged in is, I think, I will say, it has yielded very little fruit. And you see, it's counterproductive in the sense that there you are inviting foreign investors, and here you are in your own country, you are killing local investors. Still, back to the Dangote refinery story. When foreign investors see that you are even trying to kill your own, the sensible ones among them will shy away. They will think that...
and we know how smart investors can be.
Exactly. Yeah. They can be very, very, absolutely smart. They have their own ways of getting intelligence, about the economy, about the political situation, and the rest. So we need to be very, very careful. The president needs to be realistic about it. And I remember the presidency, proudly saying the president attracted about $500 million investment. The Dangote industry, the Dangote refinery is about $20 billion.
And we've seen it as one of the number 10 largest refinery. Even without starting, it has already garnered a lot of attention to it, and that would definitely bring a spotlight to Nigeria.
So for me, whatever Dangote's offense might be, I don't know whether he has committed any offense. Of course, we hear all sorts of stories. Please let the government forgive him. Let them impress that refinery as a national asset.
We don't, like we said, the media, the government does not need to forgive anybody when it comes to you don't have a relationship, anger, and pour on the economy. It's all about Nigeria comes first and the people. But I thank you so much. It's always an amazing analysis with you. I appreciate you, Suleiman Ubagaya, for joining us.
It's my pleasure always.
That was Suleiman Ubagaya. He's the CEO, Sky Limits Media Group, and former deputy president of Nigerian Guild of Editors. With that, of course, this is where we draw the curtain on Daybreak this Monday morning. Please do stick around. Top of the hour, Emmanuel Fashemi will bring you 360 Sport. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Do have a lovely and easy day. Bye-bye.